Double Masters 2022, card number 103. Backdraft Hellkite. Current market value $0.35, with a foil going for $0.51. There are 2 variants of this card in the set, and this card is printed in 2 sets, including this one. The card can be played in only Legacy, Vintage, Commander, and Penny formats. There are currently 13 rulings against this card by Wizards of the Coast. 1. Only instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard, when Backdraft Hellkite triggered ability resolves, will gain flashback. Instant and sorcery cards that are put into your graveyard later in the turn won't gain flashback. 2. Once Backdraft Hellkite is attacked, its ability will resolve and grant the appropriate card's flashback, even if Backdraft Hellkite leaves the battlefield before the ability resolves or after the resolves, but before you cast the spells. 3. Flashback cost means you may cast the card from your graveyard by paying cost rather than paying its mana cost. And if the flashback cost was paid, exile this card instead of putting it anywhere else anytime it would leave the stack. 4. You must still follow any timing restrictions and permissions, including those based on the card's type. For instance, you can cast a sorcery using flashback only when you could normally cast a sorcery. 5. To determine the total cost of a spell, start with a mana cost or alternate cost, such as a flashback cost you're paying. Add any cost increases, then apply any cost reductions. The mana value of the spell is determined only by its mana cost, no matter what the total cost to cast the spell was. 6. A spell cast using flashback will always be exiled afterwards, whether it resolves, is countered, or leaves the stack in some other way. 7. You can cast a spell using flashback even if it was somehow put into your graveyard without having been cast. 8. If a card with flashback is put into your graveyard during your turn, you can cast it if it's legal to do so, before any other player can take any actions. 9. If you cast an instant or sorcery with X in its mana cost this way, you still choose that value of X as part of casting the spell and pay that cost. 10. If you cast a spell with flashback, you can't pay an alternate cost such as overload costs. You can pay additional costs such as kicker costs. If the spell has a mandatory additional cost, you must pay those to cast the spell with flashback. 11. If a card has multiple instances of flashback, you may choose any of the flashback costs to pay. 12. If a split card gains flashback, you pay only the cost of the half you're casting. 13. If a card with no mana cost gains flashback, it has no flashback cost. It can't be cast this way. To cast the spell will cost you 2 red mana, 3 general mana. It is a creature, dragon, and the card is a rare, with the ability flying. Whenever Backdraft Hellkite attacks, each instance and sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback until end of turn. The flashback cost is equal to its mana cost. 4 power, 4 toughness. This card is currently played in 1% of relevant decks on EDH Rec. If you like this sort of content and would like to support the channel, then liking, subscribing, and comment would be eternally appreciated.